Hello, and welcome to the Sage webinar. Today, we're going to talk about HR Essentials in Sage Payroll. My name's Zainab Lenton, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager here at Sage. Before we start, just a little housekeeping for you. Firstly, your microphone is muted automatically on this call, so you won't have to worry about your sound accidentally coming through, so hopefully that's a weight off your mind. Do please download the associated handout for this call, which is our HR Essentials frequently asked questions. To do that, you can just click on the document icon in the chat panel. And if you'd like to view this webinar in full screen, please click the little four-pointed arrow icon to expand out. If you do have any questions, we ask you to submit those to us via chat. We'll be keeping an eye out on that chat throughout this webinar, and members of the team will be responding to your questions directly. We'll also use the questions that you ask to update the FAQ document in our support resources moving forward. Speaking of questions, we'd just like to pose a couple of questions to you at this point, just to help us understand our audience a little better. I'll just get that up. Firstly, we would like to know a little bit about what payroll software you're currently using. Please select one. Submit the relevant option in the poll. We'll take a moment's pause just to give you all time to make your selection. That's great, thank you very much. We have a follow-on question to that, and I will launch that for you now. Many of you are saying that you do use Sage Business Cloud Payroll. If you do use Sage Business Cloud Payroll, do you currently use our online pay slips feature? Please let us know. Similarly, we'll just give it a moment to give people time to make selections. Wonderful, that's 40 seconds of submission time for you, so we'll call it a day there. Thank you for your answers there, everyone. So great, let's get started. Today, we're going to start with an introduction from Joanne Pringle, who's our Sage Payroll Product Manager. Following that, we're going to get into a demo of Sage HR Essentials from our Sage expert, Duncan Morgan. Duncan will run you through getting started with HR Essentials and what your employees can expect, and really give you a good deep dive into what's going on. Finally, at the end, we'll kind of do a little bit of a wrap up and review anything that's come in through the chat. Great, over to you, Joanne.
Brilliant, thanks Zainab. Hi, as Zainab mentioned, I'm the product manager for Sage Business Cloud Payroll for UK. And thank you very much for your time today for joining us on this webinar. I think from the polls there, I saw there was quite a number of people who've joined us today who are using Sage Business Cloud Payroll already, which is great. And from those, you've already started setting up the online payslip feature, which we released a little while ago. I think part of my job, and a really good part of my job, is actually listening to all of your feedback when we release features and updating the product roadmap in accordance to that. So I think on the back of us releasing online pay slips, and for people who don't know, I know Duncan's going to go through it a little bit later on, but basically it was the first integration between our Business Cloud Payroll product and our Sage HR product to enable employees to self-serve pay slips and P60s online. We quickly followed that up with an employee app, so they can log into the app and view that functionality. And then following the launch of that, we further listened to feedback. And what you're asking is, how could we extend that functionality to enable basic tracking and managing of leave? And this led to the recent release that we're going to go through today around Sage HR Essentials, which is part of the Sage Business Cloud Payroll UK subscription. Just to note, obviously in the product, for those who've logged into Business Cloud Payroll, if you are seeing a coming soon message on your screen, it's just to say that we're actively working on the user experience for certain subscription scenarios. So that's why you're seeing a coming soon message. But in the majority of cases, you'll see HR Essentials there ready to activate within your product today. So I just wanted to close and say, I hope you find today's session informative and that the functionality that we've brought you within HR Essentials will benefit your business. And I'm just going to pass over to Duncan to provide you with the walkthrough of the functionality.
Thank you very much, Joanne. So my name's Duncan. I'm from our Learning Services team here at Sage. And as Joe says, I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the new HR Essentials, including how to get up and running nice and quickly, how to use it and how it will fit into your current workflow, and also a good view of the employee experience. So first thing we're going to cover briefly is activating HR Essentials. So this is a really simple process. It is literally one click within Sage Payroll, or if you've already set up online payslips, this will be activated automatically. So no further step to activate the additional HR features. As soon as it's ready for you, you'll be able to switch to HR and you'll get to see all the goodies that I'm about to show you in the demo. If you've not yet set up online payslips, there is a two-step process within Sage Payroll that you'll need to complete. So step one is to activate Sage HR Essentials. And then the second step is to invite your employees to access Sage HR. And at the point you invite your employees, they will get a welcome email, and historical payslips and P60s for the last 2 years will be added to their new HR profile. So what I'm going to do in the demo is I'm going to take you through some of the setup steps. There is a bit of configuration in HR, so I would recommend that you hold off of step 2 until you've been through and checked your settings in HR. And then when you're ready to invite those employees, make them aware, they'll get their email, and then they can log in and start using it. So let's get straight into the demo. I'm just going to bring the slides down and we'll make this full screen for you. So I'm going to switch off my camera. And we're going to start in familiar territory. We're starting in Sage Payroll. And for this demo, I have already activated HR Essentials. But if you haven't done this yet, all you would need to do is to head to the settings area here at the top of your screen, and you will have an option under your payroll settings for Sage HR. So when you click on this, you'll see the banner just underneath with a short introduction video to the enhanced HR integration. A quick run through of the additional features that you'll benefit from, and then there'll be a button here at the bottom that says Activate HR Essentials. Now, if like me, you've already activated it, that button will change to Go to Sage HR. And as long as you're a user with the correct permissions, you will be able to switch between your payroll and HR very simply by using this app switcher here at the top of the screen. So a quick look at these additional features that have been mentioned, and we're going to showcase all of this in the demo. So you'll be able to manage your employees in a secure HR online portal. You'll be able to store and share documents with your employees and track things like right to work status. There's much improved employee self-service, including for the first time the ability to book holiday, either from the online portal or from the mobile app. And that all ties into the leave management system. So you'll get a view of your company calendar. You'll be able to approve your leave requests by setting up to 3 time off policies. So let's take a look. I'm going to use the app switcher at the top to switch over to Sage HR. And the first thing we're going to see is your dashboard. So you will automatically be an admin if you're the Sage Payroll user that set this up. So this is the admin dashboard with a bit of an introduction here at the top, and then some options to navigate listed on the left-hand side. So before we go through the dashboard, I'll briefly cover off the navigation. So you've got a company calendar here on the left-hand side where you'll start to see details of absences that have been booked or approved. You'll have a single area to find all of your employees' payslips and P60s. So these will be listed in the tabs here at the top, also with options to search for a specific name if you're interested in a specific employee. You'll have your company directory. So this is where you're going to manage all of your employee profiles online. These profiles were created automatically when you activated HR Essentials. If you have your own payslips and P60s linked to the email address that you sign into payroll with, they can be found just here. And then you've got document management, where you'll be able to create your own categories of documents and view all the documents that have been uploaded and shared with employees. And then we've got a new reporting area. So it starts with your HR dashboard. You can report on metrics such as headcount, turnover, and then detail on time off. So a load of great reports and features for you to get to the detail available from there. Now, before you can get up and running and start using this and inviting your employees to use Sage HR, we do recommend that you complete some setup tasks. And to make this a bit easier for you, we have added some in-product help, which you can access from your dashboard by clicking here on Access Setup Tasks. So when you go into this, you'll see there are 4 steps that we recommend. So setting up user permissions, confirming time off policy settings, completing your employee's HR profile, and then customizing your company. And the good thing with this is it's always available. Just look out for this icon, which is at the top of the screen. And then if you click on any of these links, it will take you to the relevant help article, which you can follow through step by step to make sure you get off on the right track. So this one covers setting up permissions, and we have the equivalent support guides available from each of these steps. So I can't recommend that highly enough when setting up. You can access all of those setup tasks from here. Now, I just want to touch on a few of the tasks that were mentioned just there, and I'm going to start with the employee permissions. So there are actually 3 levels of permissions that you can set up in Sage HR. You've got your standard employee level, where employee would have access generally to their own information, book their own holiday. You can have a direct manager level, which can be assigned to other employees, and that direct manager will be able to view limited information on the employees that report to them, but can also be set up as time off approvers for them. And then you've got the admin level. So as the payroll user, I'm an admin, but you can create additional admins if you've got other people that work in your HR function that would need that access. So to quickly show you where you can set these access levels, if we go to our company directory here on the left-hand side, you would access an employee profile just by simply clicking on their name. And then from the employee section, you'll see that there is an access level chooser, and you can choose between employee or administrator. So if you want to create other HR admins, and they would only be able to access HR, they wouldn't have access to your payroll, you could switch the access level to administrator. Now for direct managers, it works slightly differently. You assign a direct manager to the people that report to them. So Alan here, the profile that I have open, reports to Dane. So I've selected Dane as a direct manager. So the permission level is set within the employee profile, but what I want to show you is some of the settings that control exactly what information will be visible to the different levels of user. So to find your settings, you'll just need to click on your admin username, which will be at the top of the screen here. You would come down to settings, and then we're going to take a look here in the permissions area. So global permissions are settings that apply to all profiles regardless of the level. And from the global permissions, you can choose to hide certain tabs or information from the profile if you don't intend to use them. So I've picked a few of the fields here that I don't want to show, so I'm not particularly interested in recording that information. You've then got admin permissions. So I've set up one additional admin, but I do want to restrict their access to pay slips and tax documents. So I don't really want them to see what my other employees are being paid. So we can easily switch that off for additional admins. We can even remove their access to the settings. Those that are set up as direct managers, you have the option of giving them access to various areas in HR. So for example, emergency contacts or their employees' personal information. So you choose what you want them to be able to see. And then the employee level, it's nice and straightforward, this one. You've got a setting where they only see their own information, or you can let them see another employee list and a shared calendar. So it's down to you what level you're going to choose there, and a few other settings that would apply specifically to employees. So that's setting up your permissions, your employees, direct managers, and admins. Next up, we're going to talk time off. So this has been a much requested feature, and with HR Essentials, you will be able to create up to 3 time off policies. So you do this from the settings. So you go to this time off area, and then you would click onto policies. We will start you off by creating a holiday policy with an allowance of 20 days. But of course, you can customize that to your own business needs. And you can set the default allowance, how it accrues, and various other settings by just jumping into this settings icon. Now you'll see I've created another policy, a sickness policy, which I'm just going to use to track sickness. We can set this so that only admins can record the sickness, so employees wouldn't record their own sickness. And again, that is controlled from the settings area. So a quick look at my holiday settings. So we can see the policy name, which can be amended. You can change the allowance. So I've set this to 20 days, accruing annually, and I've got the start of my holiday year when that allowance resets. And then if you scroll down, there are various other settings to explore. So whether this is shown on the calendar and whether employees are able to request time off directly from this policy. So you can review these settings, as I say, customize it to your own requirements. And then in order to assign these time off policies to your employees, just click on this eligibility icon with the 3 people, and then you can choose which employees will be in this holiday policy, either by selecting them individually, as I have done here, or where applicable, you can let everyone be assigned to this policy automatically. So when you first start out, you can customize these policies. You can choose who you want to use them and to be able to book off the holiday. And you can set up to another 2 in addition to that first policy. Now, when it comes to time off, what you will need to set up is an approver for time off requests. So this is also done here from the settings by clicking time off approvers, and it's actually controlled at employee level. So the default setting is that admins are the people that are able to receive and approve the time off requests, but you can change it so that the direct manager of specific employees is the person that is going to approve the time off. So you can either do it on an individual basis by clicking on the edit option here, or you can make a selection of employees if you want to change the time off approvers in bulk. So it could be administrators, direct manager, or you might choose to automatically approve time off requests. So we've got there our permissions and time off policies set up. The next step in the setup tasks was creating the employee profiles. And the good news is this has already happened. When we activated HR Essentials, it has synced all of the employee information from Payroll into HR. And that sync will continue to work, and it works both ways, meaning that in future, if you wanted to, you could start creating your employee records directly in HR with that information flowing seamlessly into Payroll. And that's something we're going to show you a little bit later on. You can view the employee profiles by simply clicking on the name. We'll take a closer look at those in just a moment. So the last step in the setup tasks, just to cover that off, is customizing your portal. So for this one, I'm just going to go back into the settings and onto the General tab. And this gives you option of adding your own company logo to replace the Sage logo here in the header, and also to be used by your company login page and any notification emails. So to give you an idea what that might look like, I've created a logo for myself. I can scroll down and click Save, and you'll see that that's now branded my HR portal with my logo, and that is exactly the same view that your employee would see when they log in as an employee. Now, actually, I'm going to remove it. I prefer the Sage logo to that one, to be honest. And I'll save those changes. And that is the setup pretty much complete. So a reminder to access the help on these setup tasks, just click on the icon here at the top of the screen. And just to give you a quick recap of the steps I've just been through, we started with setting up the user permissions. So employee is the default, got direct managers and admins. We confirmed the time off policy settings. So we can have up to 3 policies. You can assign it to your employees using that eligibility option. And of course, you would set up your approvers, being that admins, direct managers, or approved automatically. The employees' HR profiles are pulled in from Payroll. So you get a quick start to that, and you'll see how we can deal with new employees in the next demo. And that final step, should you wish to, is to customize your company by adding a bit of your company branding. So now that we've got this set up, we're going to talk about actually using some of the HR features, and I'm going to show you what the employee can expect when they're onboarded for the first time. First thing I want to touch upon is employee setup. So you now have a choice instead of creating your employee in Payroll, which would then be automatically synced to HR, you could decide that you want to create your employee in HR, invite them to start using their profile, and then you can deal with other onboarding tasks such as right to work checks before they actually get paid for the first time. And if you do set up an employee in HR, you'll find that the details automatically sync, and you'll be prompted for a little bit of extra information in Payroll, which is used specifically for the payroll record. So again, I want to give you a closer look at this one. So let's just rejoin the demo, and I will just make that full screen again for you. So returning to my company profile, I just want to show you that I have set up a new employee, Derek just here, who is joining us at the start of this month. So I created that employee just by clicking on the plus sign here at the top and selecting the new employee option. And then you just provide some very basic details. We're saying yes to include them in Payroll, and we're sending the invitation to Sage HR at this point. What we would then do when it's time to pay them is we would switch to Payroll. And when we look at our employees, we can see that we have a new employee with an incomplete employee record. And then it will tell you exactly what information needs to be provided in order to pay them for the first time. So most of the information has been entered in HR. Stuff like national insurance number, pay cycle, etc., would be entered in Payroll. Now, one thing I didn't show you earlier was the second step in activating HR, which was inviting your employees. So I'll just take this opportunity to do that now. So it's really simple to do. You just need to set the pay document preference to online via Sage HR, which you can either do in an individual employee record. So you can set document preference from the pay document preferences tab. So you can set it to online from here. Or if you're going to do it in bulk, which you probably would do if you're starting out, is you can use bulk actions. You can select those employees you need to invite. So maybe you'll start off with a small pilot, and then you can click invite to Sage HR from here. So that's what will trigger the welcome email for any existing employees that were set up prior to activating HR Essentials. And I'll show you the welcome email that they get on a slide. Okay, so we've created our new employee. When you do so, it's probably a good time to talk about documents, as you do have a requirement to do right to work checks. And that's the type of document that you could upload securely to the HR profile. And if it's a right to work status that expires, you'll be able to set an expiry date, and you'll get triggers and reports to help you keep on top of those statuses. So as an admin, you can manage all of the documents that you've uploaded from this documents folder here on the left-hand side. And you could share a document with multiple employees, or it might relate to an individual, such as is the case for right to work. So you can see I have got some documents already uploaded. I've got a staff handbook, which I'm sharing with all employees. And I've also got a right to work document for a specific employee. But I'm going to upload a new one. So we have just created a new procedure for notifying absence. So I've written that up as a policy. I do want to share it with all of my employees. So I'm going to put it in the general folder. I'm going to share with everyone. And if you want to, you can track the documents by requiring your employees to accept it, and you can set an optional deadline. So I want to give them a week to acknowledge the fact that I've sent a new procedure, that they've read it and they understand it. So I'll just go ahead and upload that, and that will now be shared with everyone, and it will create a task for them in order to accept that document. And you'll see I can see that now in the list of my documents in the general folder. So we've been looking at it so far from the point of view of an employer, or an admin, as we call them in HR. But I do want to take a look at the employee experience and to give you a bit of an idea on how that works. So if we take a look at a slide, this is the simple 3 steps for an employee to get set up. So at the point you invite them, or the point you set them up as a new employee in HR, they will be sent an invitation email. It contains a link to your company sign-on page, so a really handy link for them to bookmark so that they can log in easily from a browser. And all they need to do is to accept that invitation by clicking on the icon, provide some very basic details, so their name, and creating a password. And as soon as they've done that, they've now got a login to log in either on the website, or even better, if they've got a smartphone, they can use the Sage HR app, which they can download from the App Store or Google Play Store. Now, the invitation email does have a time limit to it, but it's really simple to resend if you need to. You can do that directly from HR. And once your employees are all signed up, they can either log in from a browser, or they could even use the HR app. So I'm going to show you the experience from a browser for this demo. So I am now switching roles. I'm going to become an employee. So I am now Alan, no longer Duncan. I work for the company and I have just signed in to my HR portal. So as you can see, there's some guidance on getting set up as an employee. You can edit your profile, you can upload your own profile photo if you want to. And there's some handy widgets here on the dashboard, including a view of the last payslip that was published. So hiding the figures in case you're in the office, you don't want to show everyone else your pay, but you can show the values by toggling on. You can view the full payslip on screen, showing all the detail that you would see on a printed or emailed payslip. It can be downloaded as a PDF if you need to be able to share that. And you get a full look at your payslip history going back up to 2 years from the point you activate HR Essentials. So you can see here, I've got all of the payslips available going back to April of this year. So they can access payslips and P60s where available, but they also have access to view and manage their own profile. So we can see here the employment start date, the direct manager. We've then got some personal details. So I've got the address and contact details shown just here. You've got the documents that have been shared. So I've got some general documents here. Got that absence procedure. We've got the staff handbook. Payslips and P60s we've already looked at. And then an area to add emergency contacts and to view all of our recent time off requests. So he's had a bit of holiday this year, Alan, and he'll be looking to book a little bit more in just a few moments' time. In fact, let's do that now. So Alan is going to be taking some holidays, taking half term off to spend with his family. So he's decided he's going to request that time off now. We can choose the time off policy. We can enter the dates of the absence. So it's going to take from the Friday through to the end or the following Friday. Put a note in if he wants to. And then that can be submitted for approval. So that will now create a task for Alan's approvers. So that is set up as admins currently, but it could well be as direct manager if we set it up that way. And if we go to our time off section here, we can see that that appears and that is now awaiting approval. Now, the other thing that's happened to Alan recently is he's moved house. So what we're going to do is we're going to update the address details. So this could also be done from the mobile app. He hasn't got his broadband set up just yet. So he's moved to a new address just up the road in Jesmond in Newcastle. He's just updating the address details from here to notify the employer. He can then go ahead and save the profile. Now that change will happen immediately in Sage HR and also syncs immediately to Sage Payroll. So this stays up to date and in sync with our payroll records simply by the employee updating their own details. So just returning to my dashboard, you can see the task actually for that document if I scroll down a little bit. So let's say I've read the new procedure, I'm happy with that, so we'll get that approved. And that is the view as an employee. So we're going to finish up the demo by taking a closer look at the time off policies. So let's just flick back again to the admin user. So I am now back to Duncan. I am the admin. I'm going to take a look on my dashboard, and you'll see we have some tasks. So we can see that he's accepted the document. Fantastic. We'll mark that as complete. And we can also see that Alan has requested a holiday. So he's looking for 6 days. I can look at the finer detail. Maybe look at who else might be away on those dates. Time off balance. And we're going to go ahead and approve that. So we can send a message if we want to. Notify them via email. We can then go ahead and approve that leave. And if we take a look at the shared calendar at this stage, and I'm just going to switch it, well, actually in the next 4 weeks, we can see that the time has been booked off. And we can look at the month view as well. So we can look at October's absences, see we've had some sickness. Alan's recently had a work anniversary, congratulations. And then we've got various other events appearing here on the calendar. So as well as updating your shared calendar, giving you that insight when it comes to approving the holiday, it also interacts with the payroll process and gives you a handy reminder of any absences that happen to fall in the current pay run. So this is going to be our last task. So I'm now going to switch over to payroll to run my current pay run. It will be for the 31st of October. So it's coming up at the end of this month. Quickly show you that Alan's address has changed. So we've now got the new address details seamlessly synced from HR. And when we go back to our pay run, we'll start to see some of the leave details for the current period. So it's your usual 4-step pay run, that doesn't change, but we have this additional messaging when we come to the absence section, prompting us to open our leave summary. So it's telling us that we've got some leave approved. We've actually got leave for 3 employees. We've got Alan going on holiday towards the end of the month. Tristan has been on holiday earlier in the month, and we've got Dane, who's been off sick between the 9th and 17th of October. Now, when it comes to things like sickness or parental absence, there may well be a statutory payment that needs to be processed. So for Dane, we're going to need to give him some SSP for these dates. And it just means that we can click on Dane's name, can remind ourselves on the dates, 9th to the 17th, and then we can easily add the sickness for SSP purposes between the 9th and the 17th, so that that will then calculate the sick pay on the next step. So moving on to the pay information itself. Again, we're being reminded about leave. So if you do have a separate holiday payment that you use to process holiday pay, that's something you might be looking to do. So when I choose Alan, for example, we can see that we have got holiday, but actually I just give him his usual salary for the periods off. I just track the days taken. And once you're happy with all of these payments, you would do your confirmation step as you usually do. My payslip is set to publish on pay date itself, but that can be changed up to 4 days before the pay date if I want it to. But I will just go ahead and complete the pay run. So I'll submit my payroll to HMRC, and it will also publish the pay slips for those employees that are set up in Sage HR. So those pay slips are now being published. They will go live on the 31st of October. And just switching back to HR, if I was to go onto the pay slips area, as an admin, I can see these pay slips are now available and they will be published on the 31st. But if I need to view them before that date, I can come into this area. I can view the details here on screen. So that is payroll and HR. I did mention about the mobile app. So although I can't show you that as a demo, I have got some lovely screenshots just to show you some of the processes that we saw from the employee point of view. So this first one is the process for viewing payslips and P60s. So once they're signed into the app, go to the payslips and P60s area, they'll see a donut graph representing the last payslip they received. They can click on the payslip to view the finer detail, see the different payments, and if they need to, they can even download and share a PDF of that document directly from their smartphone. Next up, we have the employee profile. So if you're managing your profile, you can get into your employment details, personal information, etc. So if I needed to change my address from the app, I could edit my personal information, make the changes and save them, and that will all update in HR and payroll. And even the time off requests. You can book time off from your phone, just choose the dates on the calendar, pop a comment in if you need to, send that through for approval. And the direct manager or whichever approver it is will even be able to approve that request on their version of the mobile app. So pretty smart stuff. So that is about it from me. I hope you enjoyed that demo, and I think we're going to bring Zainab back to take over from here. So over to you, Zainab.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Duncan. Thank you also to those of you who asked questions. I think we have managed to answer the majority of the queries. I think there are still a couple in our inbox there. If you've asked a question that hasn't yet been answered, a member of the team will follow up with you, so we won't leave you hanging. We do think we've covered the main themes in the FAQ, but we're going to use your feedback to add to that and to our support resources, so thank you very much. At this point, I'm actually going to pose the very last of our 3 poll questions for you, if I may. Today, we'd just like to know that based on what you've seen today, what Duncan has taken you through, will this bring value to your business? Yes or no? Please just we'll just pause there, give you some time to answer. Brilliant. Thank you very much. It just leaves me, I noticed we have had another couple of questions come through while we were doing the poll. As I say, we will follow up on that. Even if the webinar closes out, we'll still get a response to you, so please don't worry. It just leaves me to say thank you for taking the time to attend this webinar today. I hope you're very much looking forward to diving into using HR Essentials. And just as a reminder, if you do have any follow-up questions or queries, please may I direct you to your Sage Support Hub, where you can check out our resources or in fact get in touch with us if you would like to speak to us directly. And so for this afternoon, many thanks to you and goodbye.